About football, Brainerd starting the season 0-3, trying to right the ship. Marion County 3-1, strong start. Kind of got overshadowed by the coaches, and it first started with Marion County head coach Joey Mathis. He was suspended for a TSSAA recruiting violation, so he's not going to coach tonight's game for Marion County. And now Brian Gwynn, who will be coaching tonight, caught himself in a little bit of controversy after revealing a plan for a silent protest during the national anthem of the game, of which school administrators have come out and said they knew nothing about, and none of the players knew anything about it. So it's going to be one of those things where he basically told the players at the last second, and it certainly wasn't going to run it by the administration, which makes sense, because if you have to ask for permission to do a protest, typically you're not allowed to do a protest. That's typically how that goes. But this is different. This is different. I mean, I've spent the greater part of the last 2 weeks, I think, having an opposite opinion than most people in defending Colin Kaepernick and what it is that he feels he has to do. If you feel very strongly about something and you choose to protest in a particular way, then, as long as you're not disrespectful, overtly disrespectful, which to me is don't touch the flag. Don't put the flag on the ground. Don't do stuff like that. Like that, to me, you're going out of your way. You take a knee during the national anthem, I don't have a problem with it, personally. And I say this, I'm an Army brat. My dad was in the military. To me, the flag is something that represents all of us. And actually, it kind of echoes Brian Gwynn's, what he said about the flag in his statement on yesterday. It's just the flag represents all of us. It's not just the military, though the military, they fight to defend the flag, and that's important too, and I'm not discounting that in any way. But the flag represents all of us. So you want to take a knee, you want to take what part of the flag represents you and protest that, I have no problem with that. But what Brian Gwynn was going to do was have his team put their a closed fist over their hearts during the national anthem and bow their heads, which is also not disrespectful. That's not disrespectful in any way. Where I have a problem with that, and what makes that different than what it is that Colin Kaepernick is doing, is that Colin Kaepernick made his decision for himself. He made his decision for himself. And in fact, all of the players that have taken a knee, all the way to women's soccer with Megan Rapinoe, those are decisions that they made for themselves. And all of their teammates have not decided to follow them. These are their individual protests. And I don't think that I don't think we should have a problem with people's individual protests. Individual. Brian Gwynn was going to have the whole team do it, which is a problem. Because A, these are high schoolers. Okay, I didn't have any strong political opinions in high school. I think there are some that do. There are some kids that are ahead of the curve in high school, and they're able to move beyond the triviality of high school and all of the minor stuff that happens that feels like the world is ending. I think there are some kids out there that are politically minded. Let those kids figure out for themselves what it is they're going to do. And they may not share your opinion if you're a head coach, Brian Gwynn. Having a team do a protest, especially a bunch of high schoolers, they may not understand what's happening. Their opinions, they're learning to form opinions for themselves. And here comes their head coach telling them, this is something we're going to protest for. I mean, that seems hardly fair. And we live in a country, by the way, you can't pray in public school, right? Like, you can't bring your religion and impose it on people. Why would your political ideology also be allowed? Like, even if you agree with what the protest is about, and I certainly do, as a black man in America, I certainly do agree with what the protest is about. But that's not the way to go about it, getting a bunch of high school kids to join you in it. That's crossing the line because now you're basically imposing your will. You're a head coach. Like, what would have happened if someone decided, you know what, I don't want to do this? Do you bench them? Do you respect that they don't want to do it? If the whole team decides they don't want to do it and only you do it, is that okay? Like, are you cool with that as the head coach? Because most head coaches tend not to be pretty cool with that. Coaches just have controlling personalities by nature. Are you fine with that? I am hard-pressed to believe so, knowing what I know about coaches. You can't have high school kids protesting for your opinion. You can't. The Seattle Seahawks ended up locking arms during the national anthem. Nobody took a knee. But a couple of players wanted to. They wanted to. And the entire team couldn't agree. A bunch of adults couldn't agree on what to do. A bunch of high schoolers wouldn't agree. They just follow what their coach would say. If the Seattle Seahawks could not figure out what to do, and they decided not to take the knee because the entire locker room, they felt like, had to be united. Either we all take a knee or none of us do. So none of them did because some players were, a lot of players were definitely uncomfortable with it. So they ended up not doing it. Those are professional athletes, adults. If they couldn't all agree on it, there's no way a bunch of high school kids would have been able to agree on it. And if they had all done it, they would have all done it because their coach said so. And something feels very wrong with that. If you're going to say, hey, you can't pray in school, you can't bring your religion into school, I understand why that is, because we don't all have the same religion and we all have to be respectful of one another. But then you can't all bring your political ideology in here too. And I say this as a person who, based on what I've heard Coach Brian Gwynn say, what Coach Gwynn has said, it sounds like we are on the same side of this issue. I just don't think that's the way of going about it. And now, if he himself wanted to bow his head and put a closed fist across his heart, I don't have any problem with that. You're a grown man making your own decisions. But don't drag high schoolers into it. That seems weird. And it's interesting to me because this has gotten to the point where this has completely overshadowed the game. It's overshadowed the game entirely. Like, granted that this was not like the most hyped for a game you're going to have this week. I mean, there are plenty of good matchups this week in high school football. Macaulay and MBA are playing. That would be a good game to watch. Baylor and Brentwood Academy. Brentwood Academy starting 2-2. I mean, you got a bunch of good games, right? Ottawa versus Ray County. Hickson's trying to pull it together. They're 0-3. I mean, you got a bunch of good games, and what's overshadowing all of them is Brian Gwynn and his protest, and it doesn't seem like he got permission to do it from the administrators, and more importantly, the players. It's weird that he mentioned that this was going to happen, but he didn't talk to any of the players about it yet. Like, you were just going to roll up in there and just tell them, like, this is how it's going to go down? I mean, imagine that's exactly how it was going to work, but that doesn't seem right. Okay, I mean, I understand the need to protest, and I understand all of those things. And I understand that you, in order to get attention on your issue, controversy is what it takes. Okay, if you protest in a way that everybody wants you to protest, you are not protesting. That is a softened version of protest. But understand, when you protest, or even if you have ideas of protest, you're not free from the consequences of that protest. The University of Louisville going to be playing Florida State this weekend. They're going to have something to celebrate and commemorate Muhammad Ali on their helmets. It's going to look pretty cool. But Muhammad Ali chose to stand up for something. He found himself in jail. Understand that when you protest things, when you go against what the public thinks is right, there is backlash, and there are consequences to that backlash. It doesn't just come free of consequence. You're protesting, and if you're going to protest during the national anthem, understand that people are going to be mad at you. Understand that people are going to be mad at you for reasons beyond your protest. They may feel hurt or they may feel angry at you for reasons that have nothing to do with your protest. For instance, if you feel like a person is dishonoring the troops, I can't blame you. If that's what the flag means to you, I can't even blame you on that. It's not what it means to me personally. I grew up in a military family. I was always taught to believe the American flag represents us all. High to low, rich to poor, regardless of color. This flag covers all of us. So if you choose to kneel during the flag raising or during the national anthem, it's not an indictment of the flag. I mean, it's not a knock against the troops. You're not protesting the troops. Because here's the thing that we do with people that protest. We don't give people who protest the benefit of the doubt of what it is that they say. You can't tell a person what they're protesting. They tell you. You can't tell them, hey, you're protesting the troops. And they say, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, they're not. Because they said so. I mean, you can't tell somebody what it is that they're protesting. You got to give a person that right. You can disagree with the method. You can disagree with all kinds of things. But you can't tell them how and what for. It's America. I mean, you're the one thing that you are promised is freedom of speech. But now it comes with the consequences. Like, you can't just say whatever you want and have nothing happen to you. Stuff is going to happen. If you kneel during the raising of the flag, guess what? People who love the flag, they're going to be mad at you. Even if your protest has nothing to do with the flag, they're going to be mad. And they're allowed to be mad. And they're allowed to disagree with your methods. All of these consequences are allowed. It's proof that America works. That we can all do and say these things and know that the consequences are coming and decide to do them anyway. It's proof that America works. This is the way it's supposed to be. I'm just happy. Like, here's the thing. You can say, there are people who can say and have my opinion. This is a conservative station, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person holding this opinion here. Probably our news director, Russell Stratt, would be more on my side than those people here. But that being said, this is a conservative station. I'm allowed to say this. Like, most radio hosts working at a conservative station don't get the latitude to have and say freely things like this. I have the latitude to do that. That's not a consequence I have to worry about. But if I worked at another station, I might have to think about it. I might have to think about how I word this so that I don't wind up on the wrong side of an issue and on the wrong side of a firing. Consequences come with your actions, even if you feel your actions are justified. And Colin Kaepernick can't be surprised that people are mad at him. That's just how this goes down. And Coach Brian Gwynn can't be surprised that people are mad at him either. That's part of what this is. That's part of how protest works. What people who are against this particular form of protest need to realize, though, is that protest needs to make people angry. If it doesn't, it's not protest. You don't have to be violent. Dr. King showed us that. But you have to do stuff that people don't like, or it's not a protest. You can organize a march, but if people are cool with marches, it's not a protest. You're just taking a walk with a lot of people. People don't notice marches anymore. There's a reason why marches used to work. Because getting that many people to band together for a common cause, especially in an age before the internet, was crazy. It was a ridiculous concept. It was outside the realm of complete understanding. It was hard to do. Get 1 million people to get together and march before the internet? It's almost impossible. If you get people together to march now, nobody cares. It's funny. We were talking to Confederate Mike earlier, and he posts stuff on Facebook, and there's stuff there that ought to get a rise out of some of you people, and nothing at all. Stuff doesn't impress us anymore. Like, you're almost forced to do something extreme, because if you just do what was previously considered to be impressive, nobody cares. You could put together another million-man march. In fact, I believe they tried to earlier this year. I don't even know if they got 1 million people in the age of the internet. Furthermore, did you know that it happened? Did you even notice? Probably not. Which is my point. If protest doesn't draw some kind of anger, some kind of rage, some kind of ire out of people, it doesn't stick. It lacks the stickiness to really be called awareness. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We're going to get to Tennessee and Ohio. I'm going to break that game down a little bit for you, because I broke it down a little bit yesterday, but break it down some more. Because this is a game where you should feel like, without the shadow of a doubt, Tennessee ought to win. And there's still reservations there. And that's not right. It's not right, because this team is talented enough to just blow Ohio out of the gym. But they were also talented enough to blow Appy State out of the gym, and they didn't do it. The issue with Tennessee continues to be not talent. Like, talent is not their issue. It never has been. Like, since last year, basically, that monster recruiting class that Butch Jones put together, it hasn't been talent. Why Tennessee loses has nothing to do with whether or not they're talented enough to win or lose. And now they're going up against Ohio, and I should feel more confident that Tennessee is going to win this game. Josh Dobbs feels confident. He says it feels good to be 2-0 without having played your best football yet. I agree. Tennessee hasn't played their best football yet. Not even close. But my thinking is, can they play their best football? Right? Can they play their best football with that O-line? Because it's not good. If that O-line looks cohesive and looks strong, because I say cohesive, but it really hasn't even been an issue of cohesiveness so much as it's been an issue seemingly of pure strength. Like, I watched the Appalachian State game again, rewatched it, had it recorded, rewatched it. And you know what? Those boys were getting pushed around. Tennessee's O-line was just being pushed around, manhandled like a bunch of little children. We got something wrong there when an FCS school is pushing around an SEC team's O-line like they're a bunch of kids. Like when you used to play wrestle with your dad, and you tried to push your dad around and he wasn't moving, and he wasn't really trying. You used to play wrestle with your dad. That's what that looked like. Like your dad was trying to take it easy on you, but even when he was taking it easy on you, he couldn't really help but beat you. That's what that looked like. For 4 quarters, there was not one quarter where Tennessee's offensive line dominated. Jalen Hurd had trouble running off of it. Alvin Kamara had trouble running off of it. Josh Dobbs had trouble running off of it, but passing off of it was even worse. Dude was running for his life. I mean, I don't know what else you can do. The offensive line just has to play stronger. Like, it almost looks like a brute strength issue, and it's horrifying. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We'll go back down the slate of college football games with a little bit more in-depth analysis. Clutch with Keon Rose, next.
Wars come and go, but my soldiers stay eternal.
Now you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio anywhere, streaming live at Noogaradio.com. That's Noogaradio.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Shooter Supply, mini A-frame, 20% off, 10% off, 5% off, everything in the store's on sale. 5, 10, 20, September sales days. Shooter Supply, handguns, carry permit classes, ammo and gear. You get 5% off of firearms, 10% off of ammo and gear, 20% off of all handgun carry permit classes. Shooter Supply, September sales days. But you gotta get here now. It's ending soon. Shooter Supply, mini A-frame. We're on Hickson Pike, right around the corner, right next to the Holiday Inn Express. Shooter Supply and Indoor Range. Shooters-range.com. Order online. Shooters-range.com. September sales days.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank. Call now to get access to nearly 400 local businesses. Trade Bank. Call 877-2202. 877-2202. Trade Bank. You want to increase your cash flow, your competitive edge, attract new customers, and build a loyal customer base. You need Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call right now. 877-2202. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want with our wide variety of Trade Bank partners. For almost 30 years, Trade Bank has been your voice for small business, a member of the American Bankers Association, and in good standing with you. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation, 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
This is Mike at For the Record at Northgate Mall. We're the largest complete record store in town. We sell old and new vinyl records, celebrity posters, music posters, and we are the largest in town. Come see us.
Expect fair skies to continue through the nighttime. Overnight lows back into the upper 60s. For your weekend, expect another dry day Saturday with some sunshine with a few afternoon clouds, but highs once again should reach the lower 90s. Sunday, though, more clouds will push in with some passing showers, highs upper 80s. Come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. Hot News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A Colin Kaepernick-inspired protest has been canceled by the coach of the Brainerd High School football team after threats of firing by one of the county commissioners. The players were originally going to have their fists over their hearts and their heads bowed during the national anthem. Talking about schools, the search for the new superintendent of schools in Hamilton County has been put on hold again. School board members voted 5-4 last night to put off on hiring a search firm for viable candidates. So now Dr. Cupelli will continue to serve as the interim head, possibly into the year 2017. A man was pierced by bullets while perusing Grand Avenue near West 42nd Street late Wednesday morning. He was taken to the hospital by an ambulance. The suspect described as a black male with dreadlocks. And don't forget, you can get us on the TuneIn radio app on your smartphone anywhere in the world. Watch our exclusive live streams on Facebook as well. Get us on YouTube. You can watch our live streams there, too. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Hot News Talk 1240. Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Tennessee ought to beat Ohio half to death. Like, if anyone could pitch you a slow pitch ball of a game to just prove what you're made of. Josh Dobbs talking about Tennessee. Feels good to be 2-0 before you've played your best football. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. My problem is Tennessee is so limited in key departments, especially offensive line. People can force you into not playing your best football way too easily. But presumably not Ohio. Presumably not Ohio. Here's why. There's a great blog. I've talked about it multiple times. I will continue to talk about it till I am blue in the face. SECcountry.com is a great blog if you are a college football fan, and specifically an SEC fan, and you do not and are not reading SECcountry.com. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I mean, this is one of the most informative blogs out there when it comes to college football. A lot of great writers, a lot of great interviewers out there. And Mike Griffith is one, and he wrote an interview he had 5 questions for Ohio writer Jason Arkley about the Bobcats. And he was talking to Jason Arkley about what it is that Ohio does best, which their front seven, because of the amount of seniors that they have, it's what they do best, which would present a challenge for Tennessee, given the fact that offensive line, like I said before, lacking particularly in, shall we say, strength or size. It's not talent. I can't even say it's size, but for some reason, they just get pushed around. So, yeah, challenge there. But here is where he talks about the weaknesses of Ohio, which is why I think this is a slow pitch for you if you're Tennessee. Like, this is the game to prove that you are one of the best teams in the nation, because I feel like the Appalachian State game made everybody doubt you and gave them a ton of reasons to doubt you, and they just took you up on that. And, of course, Tennessee fans, because of the recent history of Tennessee, just kind of let it happen. Like, nobody was going to fight all that hard for Tennessee. Oh, they dropped us all the way to 17th? Yeah. I mean, if you expected your team to go to the championship game of your conference, you would not just be cool with that. No other team in the SEC would just be cool with that. But Tennessee fans are a little bit more jaded than most folks because they've had a rough time at it. But here's a game where you can put some of people's fears to rest. Ohio's big weakness, they're secondary. There is no experience in the secondary. A lot of these guys, all their corners that they will be starting, none of them have started before this season. And I understand that Tennessee won last week against Virginia Tech, but they did so running the football. They didn't really try to throw it downfield. Play to your strengths, I guess. But here's the thing. Here is a game where you can throw the ball downfield. Really show what your offense can do when you choose to cut it loose. And if you do that, by the way, you can put that kind of fear into the mind of a defensive coordinator that if we do slip up, Tennessee could throw the ball on us. Because right now, nobody's afraid of that. That is something that no one is afraid of. That if you think that if you can contain the run against Tennessee, you kind of have it made. If you have enough talent to do that in the right positions. Like, you don't have to be talented all over the field. Appalachian State's got talent, but they're not talented all over the field like Tennessee is talented all over the field. And they were still able to contain you. Why? Because they had talent at the right positions, and they were able to contain Tennessee's ability to throw the ball downfield and contain that running game. And as a result, that offense looked inert for about 3 quarters. We got 1 quarter of Tennessee football and an overtime. They contained you. if you show against a defense that can't stop you in the air, that should you so happen to slip up against Tennessee, they will punish you in the air. It opens some things up for you against future opponents. You have to do it. Yeah, I mean, you've got to cut them loose. Because this is not on Josh Dobbs. Like, I'm done blaming him. If the offensive line looks good and he just can't throw it, we go back. But this really appears to be an issue of he just doesn't have enough time. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Don't feel like going there? Fine. But I figure you should at least do us the small favor of checking us out on our website, hotnewstalkradio.com or noogaradio.com. hotnewstalkradio.com and noogaradio.com. You can stream us live from there as well. If you're not near a radio, internet is the new radio. How about that? And then, of course, make sure to check us out on the TuneIn Radio app. Again, that's the TuneIn Radio app, free in your favorite app store. In the TuneIn Radio app, if you could search Hot News Talk Radio, give us a favorite and press play, you'll be able to listen to Hot News Talk Radio anywhere. And that includes Colin Cowherd, Sean Hannity, this show, Clutch with Keon Rose, Binary with Russell Stroud, and whatever you want. Whatever you want. David Tulis coming back. We've got it all, and it could be right in your pocket. That's the TuneIn Radio app. Listen like you mean it. Watch Thursday Night Football on Twitter. Interesting experience for a couple of reasons. One, the NFL insists on making us watch those hideous color rush uniforms, which didn't look so bad on the Jets because it was just a lot of white. But on the Bills, that is way too much red there, friendo. Oh my gosh. What are you trying to blind us all? Mercy. Lay off the color rush. It's too much. I mean, apart from the fact that colorblind people are having trouble watching the game because they simply cannot see it, apart from that, I'm not colorblind, I am not blind, and I can't see it. I mean, it's too bright. There's too much red going on there with the Bills. So there's one. Two, the Jets, we get another Jekyll and Hyde season from the Jets. The Jets look mediocre against the Bengals. They found a way to lose a game that they probably could have won because they're the Jets. And then they show up and just bomb the Bills to death. Just throw the ball over the top of the Bills, which the Bills put a lot of pressure on their corners. They leave those guys out there one-on-one. And I didn't intend to watch the whole game. I actually jumped in at halftime, a little bit before halftime, and watched the second half. And the second half is actually compelling and interesting. And Matt Forte was a revelation. And, you know, I'm looking at the Bills and I'm looking at the Jets and I'm like, wow, these two teams here can really, really throw the ball. Like, they're just throwing it up in the air. And especially the Jets. The Jets, Brandon Marshall, Jalen Marshall, who was undrafted, by the way, showed up big in that game. Eric Decker looked pretty good. I mean, the Jets looked like an actual real football team, and sometimes they don't. And I don't know if that's just the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing where he's just so inconsistent that they can't help it. I don't know what it is, but the Jets looked like a real football team this time, which means next week they probably won't. That's just how that goes down. But could they have picked a worse two teams to debut the NFL on Twitter? Could they have picked the worst two teams? Because I can't think of a worse two teams. Like, in that division, the Jets are like the little brother to the Patriots. And then the Bills are like the little brother to the Dolphins. Like, they're not good. They gave a bunch of money to Tyrod Taylor. There's like nothing compelling about either team as far as, do you actually believe either of these teams could legitimately make a Super Bowl run? There's an outside chance that the Jets could maybe, possibly, because Todd Bowles is really good at coaching defense. But the Bills, absolutely not. In fact, the more compelling storyline there is how long do we keep Rex Ryan? Because this whole, we're going to put mediocre corners and leave them on islands and put a lot of pressure on them and trust our rush on the front end to get pressure on the quarterback and then fail to get pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, how long do we have Rex Ryan for? That's my third point. My fourth point is what the hell happened to Darrelle Revis? I mean, it's official. Darrelle Revis looks old. He got lit up by A.J. Green last week, but that's A.J. Green. Now he getting lit up by Jalen Marshall? Like, I understand that the Jets really like Jalen Marshall, and you've got to, if you are undrafted and you are a starter in an NFL team, basically, by week 2, you're doing something right. Like, this Jalen Marshall guy, I don't think he's a scrub, but he's not like one of the elite receivers of the game. You're not getting lit up by Julio Jones. You're not getting lit up by Antonio Brown. You're getting lit up by Jalen Marshall, Eric Decker. I mean, it's just a revolving door of good to average receivers, making Darrelle Revis look like he never played football before in his whole life. I don't know what happened there, but that was one of the takeaways from the game for me. I will never be able to unsee whatever that was. I don't care if Darrelle Revis comes out next week and just shuts down whoever it is that he's guarding. I cannot unsee whatever that was that he gave us. Have mercy. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. But I think that if they actually get good games on Twitter, then we might be seeing the beginning of the end of cable television. Because I'm telling you right now, the only thing keeping cable television alive is sports. It's the only thing that's live that people want to watch. Why would I sit down and try and make appointment television for a show when I could just wait for the whole season to come out on Netflix and I can binge it? Sports. It's the only thing people won't wait to watch. You got to have it. And now the internet has it. So we'll see how long cable keeps up. I'm not saying it's going to be instantaneous or immediate, but I'm saying we're seeing the beginning of the end. So we've got week 2 of the NFL season starting. If you're a Titans fan, they're going to play the Lions. You lost to the Vikings last week, a Vikings team that you should have beaten. Too many turnovers, slow start early, too many turnovers late. The Vikings beat you with their defense. Bad decisions were made. Conservative football got played. You know how I feel about it. I don't much like Mike Mularkey's system. I'm not a fan. It's too conservative. And when you've got Marcus Mariota, who is a playmaker, you've got 2 great running backs, DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. I mean, we don't know if Derrick Henry's great, but he showed flashes of being good. I'm okay with that. I mean, man, you've got to be a little bit more aggressive than what he was. I like how he used DeMarco Murray in the passing game, though. That was pretty cool. Like, some of those screens were really creative. I just want to see more. And they're going to have to do more to beat the Lions, who put up a bunch of points early last week against the Colts. The Colts rallied and came back, and the Panthers get away. But I don't think that this Titans team has quite got the firepower that the Colts have. I don't see a rally or a comeback if this team goes down big early. I could be wrong. I just don't see it in them. But those are my thoughts on the Titans and the Lions. I'm curious as to how that's going to go. That game is going to be at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time on CBS. One of the early games there. But I think the more intriguing team, because right now, the Titans, I don't know what they are. To be completely honest with you, I don't know what that team is. But the Falcons fascinate me because I don't know whether or not they stink. How good can that defense be? They gave up 31, but they gave up 31 to a Jameis Winston who was on fire. Like he was throwing the ball all over the yard. They play the Raiders next week. The Raiders, who put up 35 on the Saints. Granted, now that you put up 35 on the Saints, I don't even know if that's a special thing anymore because that defense is awful. It is horrendous. Like putting up 35 on the Saints, I don't know how good that is. Like I have no bearing for whether or not that means your offense is great or they're terrible. It's probably something in the middle, but certainly closer to the Saints are awful at defense. Like just bad. And you're the Falcons. This is the week we find out if you are a competent offense. If you destroy the Saints, you are at least a competent offense. You're going up against the Raiders, right? You're going up against the Raiders. Who can score? We know they're at least a competent offense. They passed the Saints test. They've got young talent everywhere. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, and apparently the gambling head coach, Jack Del Rio. If you're anywhere near within striking distance, watch out. This man's going for 2. And I get all that. But this is not like a completely transfigured Raiders team. This is not a Raiders team that is the best you've ever seen. They're good. They're not great. The issue is we're the Falcons. We're not even arguing good and great with the Falcons. We're arguing decent and good. Like are they average or are they good? I don't know. At times last week against the Buccaneers, they looked good. At times, they looked bad. So which team are we going to get out of the Birds? And Julio Jones got completely jammed up last week. I don't think that happens 2 weeks in a row. Like there's no way you can imagine that happens 2 weeks in a row. Julio Jones is too good. I mean, the man is a freak. He is an absolute freak of nature. And I don't know what you do with that. But he is a guy, he cannot be contained as easily as he got contained last week against Tampa Bay. But the Tampa Bay is a decent defense. But, I mean, they jammed him up. They got to get him some help because, I mean, after Roddy White kind of just aged on us, he aged on us and now he's not on the team. And then you lose Harry Douglas. Harry Douglas has moved on. I mean, you got to get Julio Jones some help at receiver just to get some of that double coverage off of him to make the defense pay or get like a really strong running game. Devontae Freeman, I like him. I don't know if that running game with Devontae Freeman is what is required to get people off of Julio Jones's back. Because Devontae Freeman broke out in a season where Julio Jones was going crazy. You can't stack the box because Julio Jones will kill you on the backside. He will run through the coverage of that defense and destroy it. You cannot stack the box. And Devontae Freeman took advantage. Well, if you're able to jam up Julio, if you're able to actually slow that monster down, well, now that gives you something against Devontae Freeman. He's not as good. Devontae Freeman is not Adrian Peterson. He's not going to carry an offense even if they stack the box. So it'll be interesting to see. Basically, whether or not the Falcons beat the Raiders depends on Julio Jones and Julio Jones getting free. It's got to start with Matt Ryan. Can he distribute the football? Can he make teams pay for putting extra pressure on Julio, which in turn would free up Julio, which in turn would free up Devontae? It's all connected, and it starts with Matt Ryan, and I don't know. And that's been the thing with us and Matt Ryan for the longest time. We don't know. We have no clue. Is Matt Ryan a good quarterback? Is he a good quarterback? I mean, when it comes to controversy, like controversial players, talked about it all the time. Controversial players are controversial typically when we're not sure, right? Like if a guy is bad at football, there's no controversy there. Like Blaine Gabbert was really bad when he was in Jacksonville. If a guy is really good, there's no controversy there either. Peyton Manning is darn one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. It's when we're not sure if a guy is good that things get very strange. When we're not sure And we're not sure about Matt Ryan. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Out of the SEC, which is that Vanderbilt has requested for a new stadium. They haven't had a new stadium in ages. They had major renovation in the 80s. And it's about time they got a new stadium. I agree, by the way. The University of William and Mary, which is a small school that you've probably never heard of. They're in that conference that produces all of the basketball teams. Like their conference is the same conference with James Madison and Richmond, the Richmond Spiders, all those teams that make the NCAA tournament fairly regularly. All of those teams, they're in that conference. But certainly not a football conference. It's certainly not a powerhouse of a conference. A lot of really smart schools, not unlike Vanderbilt. And William and Mary, the University of William and Mary, is getting a new stadium. It looks flipping awesome. Vanderbilt needs a new stadium. That's all I'm saying about that. You got a bunch of smart people going to a school. School is in the SEC. This is a football conference. I'm saying this, at least on behalf of everybody else that goes to travel there to watch their team in Nashville. The Tennessee fans that travel, the Georgia fans that travel, the Bama fans that travel, the Auburn fans that travel. They don't want to go to a dump. And then, of course, they're your own fans. They don't want to go to a dump either. Understand that if you are going to watch Vanderbilt football, you must really love Vanderbilt. If you go to watch Vanderbilt baseball, that's fun. Vanderbilt is good at baseball. If you go to watch Vanderbilt football, you must really love the Commodores. And if you love the Commodores that much, I think you deserve to go to a stadium that's really nice. And look, they make some really nice stadiums out there that are just not very big. You don't have to break the bank. I don't think anyone expects you to try and break any SEC stadium seating records. You've got the opportunity to make something that's small, intimate, maybe make it so that the fans can really get involved, get really loud. Like in a lot of college basketball arenas where the seats go up and the noise just sits on top of you. I think that'd be really cool if Vanderbilt could do that. Be at least known as one of the noisiest stadiums in the SEC, because that's a great fan experience. But you got to get something new. Then people have ranked the SEC stadiums before, and Vanderbilt is always near the bottom. I haven't had the opportunity to go to Vanderbilt to watch a football game just yet. But from what people say about it, I am inclined to believe them. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. And I'll see you in 24 hours. But stick around. Alex Jones, next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.